Hey, welcome back to CoinFlip. I'm Derek Wu. So mark your calendar right now. July 29th, 2 p.m. Eastern. That's when the Fed hands down its next rate decision. And it's not just a headline for economists. It's a deadline for a decision sitting in your own bank account. We'll get into the Fed's meeting calendar, why they've held steady for months now, and what a hawkish shift under new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh could mean. A hike back on the table. Nobody expected that a few months ago. Then we're turning that uncertainty into an actual plan, high-yield savings or a CD. I'll walk through where rates stand and frame it as a bet on which way July 29th breaks. Spoiler, you don't need to bet everything on one outcome. After that, I'm going after something that bugs me every time I hear it, the 3 to 6 months of expenses emergency fund rule. Where did that number even come from? I'll give you a way to size your own and a CD ladder approach timed to next year's Fed dates. And we'll close with the one move that beats trying to guess the Fed's next step, plus a checklist to get your account sorted before that July deadline. Look, most of these money decisions are boring, and honestly, I'm fine with that. Some of them just flip the coin, but the Fed meeting one, that one's worth 5 minutes of your attention. Let's start with the calendar and why July 29th matters more than you think. Mark July 29th on your calendar. Not because it's exciting, because it affects your bank account whether you're paying attention or not. The Federal Reserve's Rate Committee meets July 28th and 29th. According to Fed Rate Calc, the decision drops at 2 p.m. Eastern with a press conference 30 minutes later. Everyone treats these days like a scoreboard. Numbers flash, commentators shout, and by dinner, everyone's forgotten it happened, except your savings account remembers. Let's see where we actually stand. Bond Savvy's coverage of the June dot plot confirms the current Fed funds range sits at $3.50 to $3.75%, the fourth straight meeting the Fed's held there. So the easy assumption is, 4 holds in a row, a cut's coming eventually, right? Maybe not. That same Bond Savvy piece from June 17th showed officials nudging their expectations higher. The median projection actually ticked up a quarter point from where rates sit today. And Investing.com has been asking a sharper question under new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh, whether the rate cut trade is dead altogether, with some officials leaning toward a hike instead. Sit with that. 6 weeks ago, the question was, will they cut? Now it's, might they hike? Does that change anything for you personally? It should. Whatever gets announced at 2 p.m. on the 29th decides what your cash earns the next morning. So before you tune out another Fed day like background noise, is your money positioned for a cut, a hike, or nothing at all? With that Fed uncertainty hanging over us, let's talk about the number that actually hits your bank balance this month. Fortune's rate tracker, published July 1st, has the top savings account sitting around 5% APY, Vero's up to 5.00%, Axos is at 4.21%, Newtek's at 4.20%. And Fortune ties that to the FDIC's national average, 0.38. Read that again, 0.38. If you're parking cash in a big bank's default savings account, you're giving away real money every single month. Now, CDs are playing in similar territory. That same Fortune data shows top CD rates running up to 4.40%, locked for the whole term. And locked is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Forbes Advisor's tracker called this stretch of rates steady for now, which tells you the window to lock a CD isn't closing yet, but it's not guaranteed to stay open either. Picture the quarter I flip on this show. Heads, the Fed holds. Tails, it moves. A high-yield savings rate floats whichever way that coin lands. It can drop the same week the Fed cuts. A CD doesn't care how the coin lands after you open it. You freeze the rate on day one, good or bad, for the length of the term. Because that Fed meeting we just mapped out on July 29th happens while you're still holding whatever choice you make today. The real question is how much you trust that hawkish dot plot we just talked about. Think a cut still coming despite the June surprise? Locking near 4.40% protects you from that drop. Think Kevin Warsh actually pulls the trigger on a hike? A high-yield savings rate rides that increase up automatically. Nobody, including the Fed, is fully sure which way July 29th breaks. My default for money you won't touch in the next month or two? Split it. Keep a chunk liquid in a high-yield SHA for anything unexpected, and put a slice into a CD so you're not betting the whole pile on one meeting. That way, you're not trying to outguess a brand new Fed chair. You're just refusing to put all your chips on one flip. And that same don't bet it all on one flip logic is exactly why the next question matters just as much: how much cash you should even be holding on to in the first place. Building on that split idea, let's talk about the number everyone gets wrong before they even pick where to put it. 3 to 6 months of expenses. You've heard it 1,000 times, right? And honestly, it's kind of a made-up number. Think about it this way. A tenured teacher with a working spouse does not need the same cushion as a freelance designer with one client. Job stability, a second income in the house, how fast you could actually book new work if things went sideways, that's the real math, not a flat multiplier. So, forget the generic rule for a second. Ask yourself, if my income stopped tomorrow, how many months before I'd feel real pressure? That number is personal. Some of you land at 2 months. Some of you land at 9. Okay, so you've got your number. Now, where does that money actually live? This is where it gets fun. Not everything belongs in one account. Picture it like umbrellas for different storms. One umbrella stays by the door. That's your high-yield savings account. Fully liquid, grab-it-now money. The rest, you don't need those umbrellas open right this second. So you stagger them. A 3-month CD, a 6-month CD, a 9-month CD. Each one pops open at a different point. That's the ladder. And here's the useful part. Fed Rate Count's 2026 meeting calendar shows FOMC dates through September, October, and December. Time your rungs to mature right around those meetings, and you're never stuck guessing what rate you'll reinvest at. You just roll into whatever's current. A simple split that works for most people. Keep one slice, maybe a third, sitting fully liquid in the HYSA. Ladder the rest across those maturities. You get flexibility where you need it, and better yield on the part you won't touch anyway. Does that feel less arbitrary than just save 6 months? It should, because it's built around your actual life, not a magazine headline. All right, so you've got sizing figured out. You've got placement figured out. Next question is the boring but critical one. How do you actually make this happen without staring at rate charts every week? With all that decided, here's the one move that wins no matter what happens on July 29th. Automated. Set up a recurring transfer into your HYSA every payday and stop checking the Fed calendar like it's a scoreboard. Why? Because timing the exact rate move is a guessing game, and guessing games are exhausting. I've got a quarter here. Heads, they hike. Tails, they hold. Doesn't matter. Your automated transfer already happened either way. So, here's your homework before July 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern when Fed Rate Calc's countdown hits 0. 1. Check your current APY. If it's under 4%, you're leaving money on the table. 2. Decide your CD versus HYSA split for the next 6 months. Don't leave it open-ended. 3. Confirm where your emergency fund actually sits and make sure it's not sitting in a checking account earning nothing. Put a calendar reminder on your phone right now. July 29th, 2 p.m. Eastern. Not to panic, just to check your rate and move on with your life. The boring answer is usually the right answer. Now go set that reminder. Okay, that's the Fed decision minus the panic. Let's land the plane. Quick recap, and just one thing, because that's all you need. July 29th at 2 Eastern. That's the FOMC decides, and it's the one date on your calendar that actually touches your bank account. Everything else we talked about, the CD ladder, the HYSA split, your emergency fund math, all of it points back to that single Tuesday. Here's the one-sentence takeaway if you remember nothing else. Stop guessing which way Warsh and the committee break and split your money so you win either way. A CD ladder locks in today's rate on part of your cash. Your high-yield savings stays flexible on the rest. You're not betting on the coin. You're just not standing there flat-footed when it lands. And look, I get it. Deciding on a percentage split isn't thrilling. It's homework, not a highlight reel. But boring, done on purpose, beats anxious and undecided every single time. So, before July 29th, 3 things. Check your current APY. If it starts with a 2, you're leaving money on the table. Pick your CD to HYSA split based on how soon you'd actually need that cash, and confirm your emergency fund isn't just sitting in a checking account earning nothing. Does that make sense? 3 boxes. Check them, and you've done more prep than most people do for a decision this size. None of this required a finance degree. It required about 20 minutes and a calendar reminder. Made a call today, even a small one? That counts as a win. Subscribe so you're set up for the next deadline, because there's always another one coming. And if you've got a money decision you've been sitting on, the one you keep opening a new tab for and then closing again, drop it in the reviews. I might just flip a coin on it next episode. Thanks for spending this time with me. Go set that transfer, mark the date, and get back to your real life. I'm Derek Wu. This has been Coin Flip. Talk soon.